A pleasant good morning to you. It is Monday, April the 11th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Now, residents and businesses in and around the Greater Bridgetown area are being told to brace for intermittent intervals of low water pressure and outages. This as crews from the Barbados Water Authority continue those emergency works and repairs at the Bell Pumping Station, which serves about 30,000 homes, and really what is the biggest catchment that the Barbados Water Authority services. Giving us an update this morning is the General Manager of the BWA, Keith Roy Halliday, who joins us live right here on the Morning Report. Good to have you on, Keith Roy.
Thank you. Good morning, Shane. Good morning,
Yes.
Barbados.
What is the latest? The emergency work started around 10 yesterday morning. Your crews worked right through the night. Some heavy lifting there at the Bell Pumping Station. What can you tell us about these emergency works?
Shane, very much that work is still continuing. It has, in fact, intensified through the night. We would have been working at two separate sites. One would have been the Grandview Reservoir, where we're bringing that new reservoir into operation. We've had to do two sets of connections. And as we speak, the guys are just about finishing the final piece of that connection in terms of the masonry work. But certainly there was a lot that was involved in terms of getting that Grandview Reservoir connected. And there was some disturbance at one point because of a beehive that was discovered when some of the bush and pipes were removed in a particular area. So that had to be addressed as well. With respect to the Bell, that has proven to be a lot more challenging. The first shutdown that we had done early in the morning, officially from about 11 until 2, we had actually gotten ahead of time and we were able to restart the pumping station about quarter to 2 instead of what they expected 2 o'clock timing. All of our tankers were out, everything was running smoothly, and we had very few outages, of course, in the initial period. Coming on to the second shutdown, which was to occur at 6, we recognized that the structural supports that were in place would not still be sufficient to allow the engineers and the operators to do the repair works that were necessary. And some intervention was required where additional framing and additional steel work was required to support the weight of the infrastructure which is there. As you can appreciate, the infrastructure would have been there for well in excess of 70 years. And over the years with modifications, the exact weight of the infrastructure or the pumping infrastructure in particular, and right inclusive of mines and mains, pumps, etc., that while was estimated at about 5 tons, they proved to be significantly heavier, and therefore additional work was required to be able to support to be able to support the load in place. So that work was done, and the shutdown we had expected then to occur later in the evening, maybe between 9 and 10. We have not yet been able to do that, and we have been pumping at a reduced level, but we've been pumping consistently while that work has been continuing. To be more specific, we needed to remove 2 beams, which would have supported the infrastructure for the 2 sets of pumps that we're removing today. And we'll repeat this exercise later to do for the other 2 sets of pumps. But the work that was being done was hampered by the type of welding work that was required. And that has been going nonstop from yesterday evening at 6 o'clock straight through the night. 1 beam was eventually removed, and I'm hoping that you have a picture of that so you can show the condition of the beam. But that beam would have been welded fairly solid to a number of other pieces of structure within the well and cemented down as well. We have successfully removed that. The second piece, we are tackling right now. The second beam we are tackling, and we're hoping that it doesn't prove to be as challenging. But we need to get that removed so that we can then replace the new beams which will support the 2 existing pumps that have been removed. So this is really the first phase that was planned between Sunday and Monday night. But as you can see, we're running into the morning. The pictures that you're seeing on screen are for the Grandview Reservoir, where the piping work was done and the connections in several areas had to be done. There, it was very opportune for us to do it simply because we would have had to shut down the bell to make the series of connections that were necessary to get this new reservoir into play.
Yes, and this reservoir is, as you said, a new one that is coming on stream, is also to provide water to that greater Bridgetown area, which you were expecting and really are expecting to be affected into today now. What can residents and business expect to see as the emergency works continue as we go into around 9 o'clock this morning, as businesses start to open their doors to the public and people are getting out of their homes and back to work?
We would have expected to see low pressures and outages in several areas. As it stands, it is likely that most businesses will actually experience some measure of outage, a little more than we would have expected. We say that simply because while we have been pumping all night, we've been pumping at reduced capacity. And given the demand, particularly in the morning between 6 and 9 and 10, the concern is that we may have greater outages than we would have expected. Hence the caution and our plea for over the last several days that everyone should store, every entity, every business needed to store water, because if the demand all around is that strong or that significant, then we will see even greater outages than we would be able to serve.
Keith Roy, what are we seeing right here on screen? This is the work at the bell.
This is some of the work. This is where you're seeing some welding, really and truly. What you're seeing is some cutting, where the guys are removing parts of the infrastructure. Immediately above the gentleman's head is the rising main, which is being held up by a crane. At the top of that rising main, there will be some of the pumping infrastructure. So that structure that you're seeing is what will go right down into the well. Bear in mind that this well is roughly 140 feet down, and with the additional basin, that's another 15 feet. So we're dealing with a structure that runs from the surface right down to the basin floor of about 155 feet. That is not very, very light at all. So we've had significant cranes. We've had to use 2 cranes to suspend this type of infrastructure. Because this proximity, the space is that tight, that narrow, the added caution that we put in place was to construct extra security beams at the top of that particular infrastructure so that the load of the rising main and the pump infrastructure could rest on that to safeguard the personnel who were working below.
So the good news in all of this is that the Grandview Reservoir is now connected, and that is some 1 million plus gallons of water that will be going into the system. The work continues at the bell. When will all of this be completed and some normalcy resume to residents and businesses in and around Bridgetown?
Given the fact that we have had to work all night, notwithstanding rotation of crews, and we're seeking to get additional welders on to relieve those who have been going non-stop as well, as a matter of safety and a matter of interest, and a matter really to make sure that we continue the works that we should. There will be some delay expected with this morning shutdown. We'll establish that position between 7 and 8. So while we will shut down at 9, we may shut down at 10 or 11. Or possibly a little later, just to make sure from a safety standpoint, everyone is somewhat rested and ready to go again. We will make that decision in the final analysis with a number of stakeholders as well. And if that happens and that goes well, we'll work through the remainder of Tuesday, if need be, and into the night. We're pushing to make sure that we can complete as much as possible today, today. We really do not want to go into Tuesday if we can avoid it. Tuesday really is to allow us to complete some of the works at hand, but we also know that the recovery of water into the distribution system will take at least 24 to 48 hours. And therefore, we're hoping to see much of that recovery happening sometime tomorrow. So long and short, we're pushing.
Well, that is the General Manager of the Barbados Water Authority, Keith Roy Halliday. They're giving us an update. Just to let him wrap up what he was saying there, about the work being done at the Bell pumping station. Of course, Grandview has been connected now. You were giving us that final assessment, Keith Roy?
Right. Shane, I suspect we lost contact. What I was saying is that we expect most of this work to continue into tomorrow morning. And then there is always that period of time for the system to be fully recharged, the recovery period, which is where it will take some time for the entire distribution system to be fully flushed with water. What we expect out of that is that the elevated areas, whether it's in above Bridgetown, whether it's in Christchurch, those not commonly known elevated areas, and the residents who live in those areas are accustomed to that, will experience initially greater outage than the others. And during the course of Tuesday, possibly to Tuesday night or even Wednesday morning at a push, we'll then see the water returning to those areas in large measure and full force.
Well, thank you so much, Keith Roy, for the update. Keith Roy Halliday, the General Manager of the Barbados Water Authority. Continue the good work, and please keep us informed about these works going on at the Bell and what is happening with Grandview. It's good that we have Grandview now online and in the system.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Up next, we'll look at some COVID-19 updates and see what's happening with the war in Ukraine. On the COVID-19 front, there were 261 new cases, 116 males and 145 females identified out of 1,092 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Lab, and this was on Saturday, April 9th. The cases comprised 51 youngsters under the age of 18. There were 86 people in isolation facilities at that time, and 2,437 people were in home isolation. Since the start of the pandemic, Barbados has recorded 62,214 COVID-19 cases. The number of lives lost to the viral illness stands at 379. Over in India, they have begun booster doses for COVID-19 vaccines to adults from yesterday as the number of new virus cases in the country has dropped sharply.
India has started giving coronavirus booster shots to all adults, but most people will have to pay for them at private facilities. Free boosters will be available only for frontline workers and people above the age of 60 at government-run healthcare centres. The boosters are for those who got their second jab 9 months ago.
To the war in Ukraine now. As Russian forces withdraw from parts of eastern Ukraine, residents are calling for more assistance as they hope to rebuild their community, now filled with citizen graves.
This woman, like many others in her suburb of Cherniv, feels forgotten. Forgotten by her government. Forgotten by the media. Forgotten by aid agencies. She can't live in her home anymore. She tells us it was shelled last month by Russian artillery. Naila has no idea how to even tidy up, much less move back in. and says that towns like Bucha and Irpin near the capital have received aid, help and attention, while here, nothing.
Perhaps they don't know what happened here. I can't register the damage with the government because I don't have electricity or internet. If I could register, perhaps they might help. But for now, we just have to help ourselves.
The civil administration in Cherniv is overwhelmed, and so community groups have stepped in to help. Where once they sold cars, they now distribute food. And while this might look like a lot of food, it'll be gone in a couple of hours, leaving hundreds outside with nothing. This food distribution point operated throughout the Russian onslaught. When they had food, they would open, but more often than not, they had nothing. Today, though, is a good day. They have at least something to distribute.
Mostly people ask for bread and water, but water less now, because they have running water. Canned food is in high demand. In fact, anything edible, they take thankfully.
This man tells us his house was flattened by Russian tanks, and no one has come here to offer help. He trudges over the damage with no clue where to even begin rebuilding. The Russian President Vladimir Putin insists that his forces aren't targeting civilians or civilian infrastructure, but the evidence against that, once again, is overwhelming, and in this village across a large area. And this is where some of the civilians who were also killed are buried. The authorities had to clear part of the woods to make space. These freshly dug graves all bear the same months. March 2022 will be remembered, even if those who survived feel forgotten.
It's a really sad situation there in Ukraine. Let's come back home now to hear what's happening on the Monday edition of Morning Barbados with our very own Wendy Burke. Wendy, how are things looking here?
Things are looking great this morning, Shane. We're going to be hearing from the Caribbean Policy Development Center about a launch that's going to be coming off tomorrow, where they're going to be looking at strengthening the capacity of NGOs within the CARIFORUM grouping. They'll actually be covering 14 territories. We'll also be having the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. on board. They'll be telling you all about their treasure hunt and how Barbadians will get to explore the island once again with all of its iconic beauty. So details to these stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much, Wendy. We're looking at more news coming up here on the Morning Report. Some big trade news coming out of the Broco-Pondo agreement between Barbados and Suriname. That meeting continues today. We'll give you the latest details here in a moment. As we continue our news this morning, we hear that the Broco-Pondo agreement, that is what is signed, a big trade deal between Barbados and Suriname should be completed in about 3 months' time. And that's the word coming from a senior official with a Surinamese delegation here in Barbados. The Foreign Affairs Minister the Foreign Affairs Minister from Suriname, His Excellency Albert Ramden, he was speaking last night on the People's Business about the latest update.
While we all agree on the way forward and we will start working along those lines, I don't want to say we're going to wait until this agreement is signed, but missions will start taking place. We expect the Minister of Agriculture of Barbados with a delegation to visit Suriname soon to be able to see land, to talk to local farmers, because the idea is to build that partnership so that we learn from each other, people to people, business to business. And we also expect a trade mission, hopefully in May, so that we can make those connections in those areas where we spoke about, whether it's water, food, fruits, vegetables, packed or unpacked, labeling, packaging, all these things, the businesses need to work with each other now. So I hope this trade mission can come to Suriname as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, we hear that the Prime Minister, Mia Amor Motley, is to be briefed today on the progress report by the Surinamese delegation during their final visit on this current mission.
Certainly we will share with the Prime Minister the results of this visit, but also the plans for the future. And those plans are on short term, so within the coming 3 months, a lot of action will take place and need to take place. And I can tell you from my own experience that both of them, I've been in meetings with both the President, Santoki, and the Honorable Prime Minister, and I know what they expect. They don't expect talk. They expect concrete results. They want to see that agreements were reached, not only agreements in words, but an action plan attached to it, follow up, and this is what we have to deliver. And that is what we're going to deliver as well. And I hope tomorrow to be able to share with the Honorable Prime Minister some of the concrete things which we have agreed on in the past couple of days. So tomorrow is not the end of this mission. It is, in fact, the beginning of an execution of a project for the coming months, and then build on that towards the future.
Meanwhile, Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business Development, Sandra Husbands, says Barbados is projecting a doubling of exports and has a number of other mutual benefits from the Broco-Pondo agreement.
So if you go back to the gold exchange, we've been losing our jewelers, people who craft things in gold. This will revive that industry and have more people participating. If we're taking wood from Suriname, taking wood from Guyana, you're going to get your furniture makers now coming with maybe new lines, new designs, etc., that you can then begin to fill the thousands of houses that we're going to be building here in Barbados. In terms of tourism, with the tourism services, tourism planning is going to be important for Suriname. So they avoid some of the errors that we made in building out our product.
In other news, we hear that there are no terrible flus circulating in Barbados at this time. Word of this is coming from the Director of Medical Services at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Dr. Clyde Cave. He was responding to concerns that there's the presence of other viruses not related to COVID-19 affecting Barbadians with tummy ache and fever symptoms. However, he says health officials are on the alert.
If you go by the experience around the world, in our source markets and so on, there is influenza B circulating, and sometimes they're now describing people who have both as the season has gone on. I'm not sure what the demographics are from our flu monitoring unit here, but clinically, I would believe we would be seeing the same kinds of things.
And Barbadians experiencing flu-like symptoms are being advised to seek medical attention. Vendors and fisher folk are sprucing up for Simply Oystins after a 2-year break. Government has given the green light for the staging of the adjusted version of the Easter event. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Fisherfolk and vendors are in a race against time, trying to get boats, stalls and equipment ready for the festival. And members of the Oystins Fisherfolk Association, among them former Vice President Stephen Cox, son of the late Belinda Cox, for whom the Oystins Fishing Complex is named, said he is looking forward for the activity, but time is short.
To be very honest with you, I didn't looking for them to have none this year, seeing that we only get the announcement about crop over, and it was so close. I think the preparation time is too close. That's my whole output about it all together. Not that you don't want to see things going back to normal, but for the Oyster Fish Festival, which usually happen, all like now you got people, we would call sponsors, we could go around and get certain things, and it would be more upbeat.
Busy working on his vessel Rambo 2, the experienced seafarer said COVID-19 had dealt a severe blow to the Oystins Fish Festival, but the organisers are putting together an event which should still capture the interest of the public.
We still have activities because people can come out to see the fish boiling competition and the dolphin skinning. We ain't got no boat race like we would attract enough people to, especially on the Monday. I ain't seen nothing yet for the greasy pole or anything like that, but there can still be a few events that will be catchable to the eyesight.
Kmart Harris, chairman of the Oystins Bay Garden Committee, said the effort made for a return of activity to Oystins is commendable, as these are not normal times with the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic.
As customary, most of the people that are here are seasoned. They're accustomed to what the festival is like, and the requisite preparation is being put in place, so they would know that because we have holidays coming up, they got to buy extra drinks, they got to get extra fish because we have these things coming up, so they're working to suit.
At Angel's Bar, owner and long-standing stall owner Suzette Bispham said she is excited about the weekend and already has a plan of action in place.
I want to change up my cooking. You know, I want to do like more finger foods and stuff because I know how things are. So I can try to do more finger foods this year other than the actual cooking.
It is a hive of activity in Oystins as stall owners and boat owners are busy getting themselves ready for Simply Oystins. It will run from Friday to Monday. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Looking at sporting news now, Barbados' 3 top junior wrestlers will return home with silver medals after successfully competing at the Spartan USA National Wrestling Championships. Those happened in Jacksonville, Florida. Monica Maria Payne and Rebecca Williams, along with Cody Marshall, made the trip with the national coach Yaima Payne to the competition and were all able to make the finals in their respective age groups. Payne copped her silver in the under 12 category, while Williams went into the final of the girls under 15. Marshall was seen there a short while ago with the shorter hair and the red and the white socks, took the silver in the boys under 15. The team, which trains at the St. Leonard's Boys School, was able to attend the championships through the support of the Barbados Olympic Association and the Barbados Wrestling Association. And a quick update with what's happening in some test cricket internationally. South Africa beating Bangladesh and a clean sweep in the test series there in Gettysburg, and that won Bangladesh's score of South Africa. Scores in the match: 453 and 176 for 6 declared Bangladesh in response to 17 and 80 all out. South Africa winning by 332 runs. Spinner Keshav Maharaj, he was the man of the match with a match haul of 7 wickets in the second innings alone and a half century in the first innings, 84, which led South Africa to that mammoth total, 453 in that first innings. And that's a look at sports. Let's take a look at the weather now. The temperature on the outside, nice and cool, 25 degrees Celsius. I would really like to see the apparent temperature because it was really, really warm last night. However, the relative humidity is up to 80%. The barometric pressure is 13.5 millibars, and those winds are coming out of the east at 32 kilometers per hour. We'll see a low tide later on in the evening at 19 minutes to 7, and there will be a high tide even later at 1/4 to midnight. Those seas are smooth to moderate in open water. Swells are peaking at around 2 meters, but they are expected to increase. Today we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers during the morning. Then it will be mostly sunny. And tonight it will be partly cloudy with a few brief isolated light showers. And here's a quick look at the international weather forecast. That's it for the Monday edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 a.m. with your headline news. Up next is Wendy Burke with today's edition of Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Hello and welcome to this magnificent Monday. I'm here with you on Morning Barbados. I'm Wendy Burke. Today we will be looking at the Caribbean Policy Development Center. They're going to be launching a special program tomorrow, and here to tell you exactly who they are and what it's going to do for the Caribbean is Mr. Richard Jones. He's the officer in charge at the Caribbean Policy Development Center. Good morning to you, Richard.
And good morning, Wendy, and thank you for having us on this morning.
You're welcome.
For those of us who may not be aware, the Caribbean Policy Development Center, we've been around for 30 years. We serve as an umbrella body for non-governmental organizations in the Caribbean, with a membership that spans across 14 CARIFORUM countries, roughly 33 members, and even more implementing partners. We operate in the region from, let's say, from Belize, Bahamas in the north, down the island chain to Suriname and Guyana in the south. So our role primarily has been one to give a voice to the sector on key development issues of the day in the Caribbean. We work on social, we work on environmental, and we work on economic development issues. And our approach is one to advocate based on the views of vulnerable groups and the average citizen, who are often adversely impacted by policies implemented, but yet do not have the chance or the voice to express their side and their positions in the policy-making arena. We also, of late, have, I shouldn't say of late, the last decade, we've also become a key capacity building institution for the sector across the Caribbean as well. Our membership, I think, includes small farmers, and it's very diverse. Persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples. We have climate change activists, youth organizations, women's rights organizations, LGBTI community organizations, and other national and regional umbrella bodies across the Caribbean.
Okay, now you not only deal with the non-governmental organizations, but you also deal with a number of civil society organizations as well. Now, coming out of that and the pandemic of the last 2 years, there's been a realization of what is actually happening in the Caribbean and how it's been impacting. How has CPDC been helping these organizations to bring that information to the fore?
Yeah, well, we provide quite a few services to the sector. We assist in coordinating their voice to ensure that their voice is heard within those policy-making spaces regionally. We all know the pandemic, for example, has had a significant impact on our region, and our role is to help strengthen our members, strengthen our partners that we work with, and as we implement activities that help protect those most vulnerable in our societies. So we do, and this project, coming project, will help us work with organizations to build their capacity to advocate for their vulnerable groups. We're providing grants to them that helps build this capacity, as well as for them to provide services to their beneficiaries. We will also be engaging with them in training opportunities. And tomorrow at our launch is also the start of a 3-day workshop on proposal writing that we have for our non-governmental organizations in Barbados as well. So we provide a mix of support and services, and again, that voice to amplify their views and positions on many of these issues in the region.
Now, you spoke to the fact that you're going to be issuing grants. These are coming through the aid of whom? What international organization is assisting in this?
Right. Yes. We do thank the European Union in particular for their support on this project. The project is being funded under the Caribbean Regional Indicative Program, and CARIFORUM Directorate as well has contributed and assisted us in making the project happen. So we would like to thank the European Union and the CARIFORUM Directorate as well for sponsoring this project, which is worth 1.2 million euros over the next 3 years.
Okay, 3 years and impacting how many countries?
Right. So we are aiming at around 14 countries. That's our target. And following the same mix I would have mentioned before, from as far north as Belize and Bahamas area down the island chain, including Dominican Republic, the Jamaica, Trinidad, Eastern Caribbean Islands, Guyana, Suriname as well.
Okay, now, as citizens, Barbadian or other Caribbean citizens, what can we do to help these NGOs and CSOs within the region? You know, how can we assist the causes that they're pushing?
Yeah, very good question. I think our society, our economies across the region are facing some very tough and difficult times. I think it is time for us to be our brother's keeper, so to speak. And we welcome the contributions of voluntary assistance. We welcome the contributions of financial assistance where possible in the sector, as well as the overall input of the average citizen in our work. We often open our work to include those voices and permit opportunities for the public to engage with us and help shape the policies and positions that we take.
Okay, now tell me some more about the launch, the time, the location, and what are some of the key objectives that you wish to have vented by the end?
Okay, the launch is tomorrow around 9 a.m. At the Marriott Hotel. We are hoping to give an overview of the challenges, I think a few of the challenges that our sector would have confronted in the past 2 years or so. Our sector has been impacted by a number of issues. I'd say one is the exclusion from policy spaces. And unfortunately, in the COVID period, our members across the Caribbean, our partners across the Caribbean have related to us that they have not been involved or engaged or included in many of the policy responses to the COVID-19 pandemic, for example. We want to also raise the issue of limited resource constraints that we face as a region. And unfortunately, this situation is exacerbated by the fact that the protocols prevented many of our organizations, for example, from doing event-based fundraising, which they rely on to help fund their programs, and as well as the increasing demand and need for services, which is rising dramatically across the region. And it comes, unfortunately, at a time where our resource base is limited to respond in in a meaningful way or a significant way to all of those demands. So those are some of the key issues we will raise, as well as our responses in providing support to the sector across the Caribbean. As I mentioned, through training opportunities, we're providing through grants, we're creating networks to lobby and engage policymakers on many of these issues, and doing the requisite training and capacity building along the way.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Richard. And here's hoping that your launch goes well, as well as that workshop that you will be having. That's Richard Jones, Officer in Charge of the Caribbean Policy Development Center. Do have a great Monday, and I hope all goes well tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When Morning Barbados returns, we'll be talking to the BTMI about some stuff they have coming up for the Easter Bank holiday.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time to talk about treasure hunting. But this one is one with a difference. And to tell us exactly what it will be is Miss Marcia Allen, the Chief Product Development Officer at the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. Good morning to you, Marcia.
Good morning, Wendy, and marvelous Monday to you. It's such a pleasure to see you this morning. We are so excited at the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. to talk to you about some of the initiatives that we have as we take tourism forward. The National Treasure Hunt is but one of the many exciting activities that you'll be seeing being rolled out over the course of the next couple of weeks, months. And the treasure hunt is but one way of getting Barbadians excited. You know, Wendy, we say that the first visitor is a Barbadian, or the first tourist actually is a Barbadian. And we want to ensure that every single Barbadian knows more about the product that we have on offer than any other visitor. And what better way to do that but through a treasure hunt?
Now, this treasure hunt, how are we rolling it out? How can we get on board? Because with most treasure hunts, there's a fee to be paid because of all the prizes at the end. But what will some of the prizes and surprises be? How do I get involved? How do those that we know get involved?
Well, Wendy, guess what? The Barbados Account from Tourism Bounty Treasure Hunt, the Tourism Forward Edition, is completely free of charge. All you need to do is register at www.tourismbounty.com. And registration is open right now until the 16th of April, which is Saturday, the 16th of April at midnight. So we want everyone to register, whether you are co-workers, your friends, your families, whoever. This is the kind of activity that is actually inclusive. It includes all members of your family, and we want to do it in a very safe way. So get your posse together and sign up and be part of this treasure hunt. Now, the treasure hunt, as you said, as you rightly said, there are a number of prizes up for grabs. And when we say a tourism bounty, we mean a tourism bounty. So you're not just getting one or two prizes as the top winners. The last time we did this, the top winners went away with prizes of like about 15 different types of prizes. And we are talking about staycations. We're talking about dinners at some of our best restaurants. We're talking about going into the attractions to places like Atlantis, or doing activities like Atlantis Submarine, going up to Cocoa Hill, going to the Animal Flower Cave, going to Harrison's Cave, going on the catamaran, and of course the staycations. And I also have one other exciting prize I'm going to leave until a little later, but trust me when I tell you, Wendy, it is a bounty that the persons will win.
Now, with all that's being offered, is there a cap on the numbers in terms of the sign up? Are we doing a capping?
The last time we had to do a cap, but we've made provisions this time. So if 10,000 Barbadians want to sign up, we have provisions for 10,000 persons.
Okay, but the first 400 get something special, though.
That is correct. I was going to say that the first 400 persons who register at the www.tourismbounty.com will receive a free Tourism Forward, the Tourism Bounty T-shirt, and everybody loves a T-shirt, you know. But in addition to those 400 who sign up, who do receive their free T-shirts, what we're saying as well is if you don't manage to be part of that 400, get creative with your teams, and we're going to have a special prize for those persons who become creative, and who we're going to give a special prize to the team with the most creative T-shirt. So either way, you'll be a winner.
What are the elements that have to go into that creativity? Because it's all about promoting Barbados. So what are some of the things that they should be looking for so they have at least a guideline as to whether they're drifting left or right?
So we want to see pops of color. We know that crop over is coming up, and we want persons to be creative in terms of all the colors that they're going to be using, that they're uniform, that they have some kind of uniform messaging as well that speaks to tourism, that speaks to who we are as Barbadians, because at the end of the day, it's the essence of who we are that really creates the type of tourism that we have here on this island. The number one reason why our visitors keep returning to Barbados is not because of our beautiful beaches and warm sunshine. It is because of the people of Barbados. And so we want the creativity to be showcased in that way, where you want to ensure that your T-shirts are depicting the messaging and the creativity that we're known for as Barbadian people.
Okay, now there's something else that the BCMI is also asking for with sign up, and that is to have some polling done because, you know, it's always important to keep track of the market to see what people are pleased and not pleased with. And as you said, the first tourist is a Barbadian. So if we're not comfortable with our own tourism offerings, then we can't expect the public to be.
So the whole taking tourism forward notion, Wendy, is about ensuring that every single Barbadian has the opportunity to participate, whether in terms of them giving an opinion or to give us some initiatives as well in terms of how they think we can take tourism forward. So we don't want to leave the Barbadians behind. In fact, we want to include all Barbadians, and we're doing a special survey because we want to hear what Barbadians think about the industry. And I say our, when I say our, I'm not talking about just our industry as in tourism, but our industry as in collective Barbados. And so we are encouraging persons to take the survey at www.tourismsurvey246.com and participate from that perspective as well. We want to hear from you, Barbados. We really want to take tourism forward with you. We want to ensure that you understand that tourism is an inclusive sector, and it takes all of us to make this industry successful.
Now, the actual treasure hunt, when is it going to be, and what are some of the things we're going to be doing in terms of being on that hunt?
You want me to give away some secrets, Wendy?
No, not all. Not all.
So Monday, the 18th of April, which is traditionally known as Easter Monday, we will be going and traversing throughout Barbados in this exciting, fun activity. So from 12:30 p.m., we will release the clues to all of the activities at 12:15. So once you're signed up, you're going to get our email, and that email will release in all of the clues at 12:15. And you can start from whatever location you're at. And this is the fun thing about this particular treasure hunt. And it's also to ensure that we remain in a very safe environment. So we're not asking crowds of persons to come out at the same time, but you can do it in your car loads of 5, and you can start from wherever you want. And we finish around 5:30 in the evening. And the last time that we did this treasure hunt, we had persons reenacting how to actually use a juking board. We had persons reenacting how to sing one of Rihanna's songs. So we will have some exciting, things in store that you can do, that you can participate in. You can take photos, and we also want you to name your team, your teams. We've given a prize the last time for the most creative team, in terms of the name of the team. So there will be lots of prizes. We have so many of our partners who are actually on board, talking about people like the Hilton Barbados, Calabaza, Sailing Cruises. We have O2 hotels. We have restaurants such as Champers Restaurant, Open Kitchen. We also we also have the attractions such as the Atlantis submarines. We have the Cocoa Hill Forest, Marizara's Nature Sanctuary, and the list goes on, Wendy. There are just so many businesses that have come on board and said, we want to be part of this treasure hunt. We want Barbadians to learn about our island, our industry, and we are happy to support.
So you had mentioned that it's a family inclusive event. So from the youngest who might be at kindergarten up to granny can be a part of this treasure hunt, because there's something there for all of them to do.
We are not discriminating. Every single person can be part of it. The last time we did the event, we also had visitors taking part, and you know what? We are not saying no to anyone. So whoever, if you're a taxi operator and you want to, encourage some of your visitors to actually be part of it, why not, set up a particular crew, and you can take your visitors on a ride. And we know that the taxi operators know Barbados better than most persons, so why not be part of that with some of your visitors as well? So we are opening up to the disabled community. We want to ensure that the persons who are on the welcome staff here in Barbados, who are living with us, can be part of it. We want the regular Barbadians, we want the school-aged children, we want the centenarians, we want everybody to be part of that tourism bounty treasure hunt, which takes place on Monday, Easter Monday, the 18th of April from 12:30 p.m. But please remember that you have to sign up before so you can get all the information. And the sign up link again is www.tourismbounty.com. And of course, you can find more information on our Barbados tourism website.
But that's the other thing I was about to ask. If the treasure hunt is also going to be accessible through your Instagram, or are you going to be keeping track of the treasure hunters through your other social media platforms? So for those of us who haven't been able to join in for whatever reason, can actually track and see which teams are ahead, what are some of the fun and exciting things that these teams are doing.
But Wendy, here, this is an opportunity for us to talk some more with CBC. So we're happy to have CBC to come on board as an additional partner, but we are actually going to be tracking the all of the activities through our command center, which is going to be set up right at our Warren's offices. And we will have live commentary for those persons who are in the treasure hunt. But on our social media pages, we'll also be sending out information, bite-sized information from time to time as the hunt continues. So please stay tuned.
That is awesome, Marcia. There's a lot to think about because we're all trying to move Barbados's tourism product forward. Now, in terms of the protocols, etc., are there any cautions that you would wish to issue in terms of how we go about participating in the treasure hunt?
But of course, when we at the moment, of course, if you're going to be part of anything outside, anything with in the public, you have to wear your mask. We expect persons to continue to sanitize and to continue to appropriately follow whatever guidelines are actually government instituted guidelines. We also want persons to ensure that they actually have their own pods, so whatever groups that they are able to participate in, that they keep those groups together. We know that the last time we did this, it was actually a very safe activity, and persons commented at how much they felt that they could do something wonderful with their families, but still feel safe. So we want persons to obviously adhere to whatever guidelines they are. But in the most important thing to do is to have fun and to engage and to laugh with each other, to bond with each other. That is what people are looking for as well, and to learn about the nation Barbados. There's so
That's
many things we
got
have,
to
so many
learn,
exciting
yes.
things, yes, on the island. We are a
And
treasure trove of
that's what's
information.
most critical, I believe, especially for little ones that are going to be participating, that they understand why these various attractions and places of interest are top of mind when it comes to our tourists who visit the island. Now, Marcia, without giving too much out, what does the top place team stand to win? People always
So in
want to know
addition
the target.
So in addition to all those prizes I've actually mentioned before, the day passes, the staycations, the dinners for two, and the attractions, entrances to some of the attractions, we've partnered with JetBlue, and so the top placing persons have a chance to win a ticket on JetBlue.
Any destination?
Wherever they fly from Barbados. I think that's actually fantastic, yes.
Yes, that's awesome. So we're looking forward to being a part of it. The sign up once again for those to get on board come Easter Monday.
So it's www.tourismbounty.com. Anytime before Saturday, the 16th of April, before midnight, you can sign up. But if you sign up quickly, if you sign up today, you probably will get one of our t-shirts. So we're giving a t-shirt to the first 400 persons who signed up for the Tourism Bounty. So we'll get to hunting everybody as we take tourism forward.
Right, and we also need them to take that survey, www.tourismsurvey246.com, so you, Marcia, and all the other good folks at BTMI can continue to do the job that you're doing to push our tourism sector forward. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. It sounds like we will have a lot of bounty on that treasure hunt. So here's hoping that you have another marvelous Monday when you have that treasure hunt Easter Monday.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been my absolute pleasure. Good morning
Pleasure
to
having
you.
you.
In Barbados.
Thank you so much. That was Marcia of the BTMI telling us all about that treasure hunt coming up. Well, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have some more news from Shane Seeley, but some other Morning Barbados interesting stories.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time now for our headline news with Shane Seeley.
Thank you, Wendy. Here's your headline news for this Monday, April the 11th. Looking at what is happening with stories making news this morning. The Barbados Water Authority, leading our news, expects scores of residents and businesses to be affected by low pressure and outages from this morning as emergency work continues at the Bell Pumping Station, which serves some 30,000 customers in Bridgetown and surrounding areas. General Manager with the BWA, Keith Roy Halliday, gave an update right here on the morning report. While they've been able to connect the Grand View Reservoir on Government Hill overnight, which adds over 1 million gallons into the system, the expected demand from Greater Bridgetown and surrounding areas will affect the supply later on today.
As it stands, it is likely that most businesses will actually experience some measure of outage, a little more than we were expected. We say that simply because while we have been pumping all night, we have been pumping at reduced capacity. And given the demand, particularly in the morning between 6 and 9 and 10, the concern is that we may have greater outages than we would have expected. Hence the caution and our plea for over the last several days that everyone should store, every entity, every business needed to store water, because if the demand all around is that strong or that significant, then we will see even greater outages than we would be able to serve.
And giving some projections for today's work, the BWA boss reveals there could be some delay with this morning's shutdown that will further impact the regular supply.
We may shut down at 10 or 11, or possibly a little later, just to make sure from a safety standpoint, everyone is somewhat rested and ready to go again. We will make that decision in the final analysis with a number of stakeholders as well. We expect most of this work to continue into tomorrow morning. And then there is always that period of time for the system to be fully recharged, the recovery period, which is where it will take some time for the entire distribution system to be fully flushed with water. What we expect out of that is that the elevated areas, whether it's above Bridgetown, whether it's in Christchurch, those not commonly known elevated areas, and the residents who live in those areas are accustomed to that, will experience initially greater outage than the others, and during the course of Tuesday, possibly to Tuesday night or even Wednesday morning at a push, we will then see the water returning to those areas in large measure.
Let's look at the local COVID-19 numbers now. A total of 261 new cases, 116 males and 145 females were identified out of 1,092 tests conducted by the Best Dos Santos Public Health Lab on Saturday, April the 9th. The cases comprised 51 youngsters under 18 years of age. There were 86 people in isolation facilities and 2,437 people were in home isolation. Since the start of the pandemic, Barbados has recorded 62,214 COVID-19 cases. The number of lives lost to the virus stands at 379. The big trade deal between Barbados and Suriname, better known as the Broco-Pondo Agreement, is expected to be completed in the next 3 months. The agreement, which seeks to elevate the trade relationship between the two countries, will be signed in July, but the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Suriname, Albert Ramden, His Excellency Albert Ramden, says work will begin before then. He made the revelation on the People's Business last night.
While we all agree on the way forward and we will start working along those lines, I don't want to say we're going to wait until this agreement is signed, but missions will start taking place. We expect the Minister of Agriculture of Barbados with a delegation to visit Suriname soon to be able to see land, to talk to local farmers, because the idea is to build that partnership so that we learn from each other, people to people, business to business. And we also expect a trade mission, hopefully in May, so that we can make those connections in those areas where we spoke about, whether it's water, food, fruits, vegetables, packed or unpacked, labeling, packaging, all these things, the businesses need to work with each other now. So I hope this trade mission can come to Suriname as soon as possible.
We're also learning that Prime Minister Myanmar Motley will be briefed today on a progress report by the Surinamese delegation during their final visit on this current mission. Meanwhile, the minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business Development, Sandra Husbands, says Barbados is projecting to double exports and have mutual benefits from the agreement.
So if you go back to the gold exchange, we've been losing our jewelers, people who craft things in gold. This will revive that industry and have more people participating. If we are taking wood from Suriname, taking wood from Guyana, you're going to get your furniture makers now coming with maybe new lines, new designs, etc., that you can then begin to fill the thousands of houses that we're going to be building here in Barbados. In terms of tourism, with the tourism services, tourism planning is going to be important for Suriname. So they avoid some of the errors that we made in building out our product.
And that's our headline news for this morning. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back over to you, Andy.
Why, thank you, Shane.
So if you go back to
Why, thank you, Shane. Now, when we come back after the break, we'll be having some conversations with CARICOM, and we'll be continuing on that same Broca Pondo, which Shane was alluding to before.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time now to have that conversation on CARICOM. And to help us have that conversation and dialogue is His Excellency Ambassador to CARICOM, David Commichon. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning, Wendy. You're looking smashing, as usual.
I thank you. Now, we're currently in the midst of a visit from Suriname's private sector as well as some government officials. And as Shane would have said before, the Prime Minister will receive her update this morning as to how that has been going. How has it been going?
It's been going very well, Wendy. It's been a major delegation, 10 government people, inclusive of 3 ministers of government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Agriculture, and the Minister of Finance, plus the CARICOM ambassador, permanent secretaries. So a very big governmental delegation, and also a 12-member private sector delegation. And so they've had extensive consultations. We've had government-to-government consultations, private sector to private sector, and government to private sector. So it's coming along nicely. In 2018, Prime Minister Motley and then Suriname's President Desi Bouterse signed the Brokopondo Cooperation Agreement. And work has been done on the Brokopondo Agreement over the past 3 years. But, you know, there was COVID. COVID interrupted things. And now this visit of the Surinamis is designed, in a sense, to get things back on track, but to do more than that, to further refine the Brokopondo Agreement. So you would have heard in that news clip that a new agreement will be signed by Prime Minister Motley and the current president of Suriname, President Santoki, at the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference in July. So that will be an augmented Brokopondo Cooperation Agreement. And it's really going well. Not only will we be cooperating in economic and trade matters, but the cooperation will indeed go so far as political consultation. We may even be sharing embassy space in Ghana and in Geneva. We are making arrangements where our political directorates will meet periodically to discuss important political and international issues. Our ambassadors will meet periodically, whether at the United Nations, whether at CARICOM. So it's really a multifaceted cooperation agenda between Barbados and Suriname.
Now, that's a lot there that has been included. What was the basis upon which it was decided to broaden this arrangement?
Well, first of all, I would like to begin with a little history. Do Barbadians know that Suriname actually began its life as a colony of Barbados? I doubt many Barbadians are aware of that. But our links with Suriname go way back to 1651. In fact, Suriname, between 1651 and 1676, the name of Suriname was actually Willoughby Land. And it was named Willoughby Land because that first European settlement in the territory that is now known as Suriname was actually instigated from Barbados by the then Barbados Governor, Lord Willoughby. And you can find the whole story. It's been written about. This is the book, Willoughby Land, that tells the story of that colony of Barbados that is now the modern nation of Suriname. So our links go way, way back. In fact, if you go to Paramaribo, what is now Paramaribo was constructed around Fort Willoughby. So back in 1651, Wendy, every week, 3 vessels were leaving Barbados and sailing to Suriname. It took them between 2 to 3 days to reach the Suriname, offloading equipment, furniture, men, settlers from Barbados, and then bringing back to Barbados tobacco, cotton, and other items from Suriname. So this is a long-standing relationship. Suriname is 63,000 square miles. Suriname is some 380 times the size of Barbados. Suriname has a population of 586,000 people, and it has a gross domestic product of close to US $4 billion per year. So Suriname constitutes an extremely large resource. It is in fact the second largest territory in CARICOM. Only Guyana is larger. Suriname is blessed with land, with timber, with water, with bauxite, with gold, with oil, with some diamonds. So Suriname is a natural fit for Barbados. What Barbados does not have, Suriname has. And what Barbados has, Suriname doesn't have. So we can help them, for example, in developing their tourism, in developing their services. They can provide us with land to expand our agriculture, our black belly sheep production. They can help us with fisheries, fish farming. So you name it, Wendy. You pick an area that you would like us to discuss, and we
they're
can discuss
there.
it.
Understood.
Yes.
Now, in terms of their presence here, they would not have only been meeting with government, but also with a number of other private sector agencies. How did those meetings go, and what does it augur for the future?
Yeah, well, they met with our business sector. In fact, I think what needs to be appreciated is that Barbados is pursuing an economic and trade diplomacy of the Southern Caribbean. So what you're seeing taking shape for your very eyes. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Guyana ministerial and private sector delegation to Barbados. Immediately thereafter, we have the Suriname governmental and private sector delegation. This is because Barbados has prioritized this engagement with the Southern Caribbean and Suriname and Guyana in particular, and that's because these countries are very, very complementary to Barbados. They're not competing with us. The things that our economy our economy is built upon, that's not what their economy is built upon. So we can complement each other and help each other. So, for example, not only did the Suriname's private sector meet our private sector, but the chambers of commerce of Barbados, Suriname, and Guyana have established a tripartite council, Chamber of Commerce Council. Between the Chamber of Commerce of Barbados and Guyana, they will actually be exchanging personnel. So you will have an officer from the Guyana Chamber of Commerce stationed here in Barbados and vice versa. In the case of Suriname and Barbados, I'm not sure they'll be actually exchanging personnel, but they will be identifying focal points in both chambers of commerce to link and to work together in a very seamless way. So,
and as we know,
unity is the level of integration that we are talking about.
Yes, and as we know, unity is strength. So forging those relationships are very key. I hope that the rest of the visit for the Surinamese goes well, Ambassador Commission, and that once that is over, we will be hearing lots more progress going forward. I want to thank you for joining me this marvelous Monday to update us on these latest developments.
My pleasure as always, Wendy. Thanks.
Have a great morning. When Morning Barbados returns, we'll be looking at the Faculty of Medical Science and their sports program at the UWI. What has it been doing for our local and regional athletes?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And welcome back to Morning Barbados, and a warm welcome if you're now joining us. We have this morning Dr. Rudolph Allen, who's the head of the Academy of Sport at the UWI Cave Hill. Good morning to you, Dr. Allen.
Good morning, Wendy. Magnificent Monday to you.
Yes, to you as well. Now, your undergraduate program in sports science and sports coaching has been ongoing for a while, but let the public know exactly how long it's been in play.
Well, our undergraduate degree in sports science started back in 2013. So we're almost at the 10-year mark. And we've had our first graduates of that program in 2016. And recently we started an undergraduate program 2 years ago, a Bachelor of Science in Sports Coaching. So that's a relatively new one. But both those programs have seen graduates or students from across Barbados and the Caribbean in those programs as we look to develop sport in Barbados, regionally, and even internationally too as well. So we're very excited about these programs and about the number of students we've been having over the years in these programs.
That
We
was going to
also
be
have
my next question. How large are the cohorts that actually enroll?
Well, presently we have about 160 students in both programs. Of course, the majority of them are in the Bachelors of Sports Science, but we have a fairly healthy cohort in these programs. In addition to the undergraduate programs, we also have a master's program, which is done in conjunction with the University of New Brunswick out of Canada. And each year we have about 10 students in that program, not only from Barbados, we've also had students from Canada, a couple of them from the other regional territories too as well. And we're very happy about both those undergraduate and graduate programs.
Now, can you tell us of any of the success stories, any of the graduates who have come through that we see on the local sporting stage or regional stage?
Well, you might not see them on the local stage. A lot of those graduates of the program, they're working in places like the BCA, the Barbados Football Association. Some of them are working in their sporting federations back home in the Caribbean. But later this week, we're going to have a couple of those students who are going to come and talk to you. I think they're coming on Wednesday. So you'll hear a bit more from them. You'll hear about their experiences in the program. You'll hear about their successes as professionals in the field. So I'm not going to say too much on that. You'll hear a little bit more about that on Wednesday.
So apart from the undergrad program, on the master's, are there any other programs that you offer for those who may not wish to go the length of, say, 3 years? Are there any diploma or certificate type courses in the faculty?
Yes, we have a diploma in sports management, which is a 1-year program. And then there's some other short courses which we are developing across not only in Barbados, but across the other campuses at Mona, St. Augustine, Open Campus. So there's some short programs which are coming on stream very, very soon. But in addition to the academic programs, we can also talk about our sporting programs. We know that the Blackbirds, we're very familiar with the Blackbirds Club. We have at least 10 teams across the various sporting disciplines, and we've been very, very successful in some of those. Cricket, for one, been in almost every championship for the last 10 years. Football, track and field, netball, they've been very successful too as well in the national competition, and many other sporting disciplines. So it's not only the academics, it's also the sporting side. In addition, we also have some academic sporting scholarships, which we offer to athletes from across the region in Barbados who may be excelling in terms of their sporting disciplines, and also who want to come to UE to do the academic program. So we bridge that gap between the academics and the sporting disciplines.
What role does your faculty play in the High Performance Center?
Well, at present, we don't quite have a high performance center at K-Field. Before, it used to be the West Indies Cricket High Performance Center there. But we're looking to develop a high performance program very soon. We're going to have some, I don't want to speak too much about it until it is signed and we're really ready to move on that. We're going to have a very exciting venture coming up very soon in cricket. So we'll hear a little bit more about that. But we're looking to develop a high performance program in conjunction with the Ministry of Sport and the Barbados Olympic Association, where we're looking to get best athletes from across Barbados and bring them into a formal training program at the University of the West Indies.
Well, that sounds exciting. So we're looking forward to hearing more on that, Dr. Ali. Now, let's look at some of the areas that are explored in these programs? Because most people assume that athletics is just you go on the track, you deal with a coach, and that's it. But placing academia now in the athletics arena, what are some of the disciplines that they leave with?
So one thing I must say, and I say this all the time when I speak to people, sports is a science. And I get some pushback when I say that. But if you think about it, the basics, the rudiments, the foundation of sport is really how it's in science. So what are some of the areas you're going to study? Biomechanics is one of those areas which many of our students may not be familiar with. Basically, biomechanics looks at the body as a machine and measure the forces and so on that we need to be able to have to make sure that we can practice the skills in sports well. Exercise physiology is another one, where you're looking at the body and how it will perform and how you need to get the body in the best shape to perform to the highest level. Sports psychology, very, very important. I think is one of the most important aspects of sports, which we tend not to focus on a whole lot in Barbados. Sports nutrition. Um, we have at least two courses in sports nutrition where we're talking about the importance of supplying those nutrients to the body so that it performs well. So those are some of the areas that students coming into the program will be exposed to. In the coaching program now, we're talking about coaching as a science, and we're talking about how we can plan a program across an entire year for athletes and giving them the best program possible to excel.
Sounds like a lot on their plate, and let's hope that they're taking it all in at the UWI Cave Hill. Now, in terms of the next enrollment, your term follows the same structure as the general university intake?
Yes, we follow that same structure, but we are taking students, I would say, all the way down to July, August. So if you are excited about this program, if you want to be part of the program, get your applications in as soon as possible. But we will take students all the way down to July and early August into these programs. We're looking forward to the new cohort this year. We've been online because of the pandemic for the last 2 years. But we're looking to return to face-to-face. Some of the students have been chaunting at the bits. They prefer the face-to-face element, most of them. So we're really looking forward to the new cohort.
Okay, well, that's awesome to hear, Dr. Rudolph Ali, Head of Sport Academy at the UWI Cave Hill. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Barbados this morning.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Have a fantastic day.
You as well. When Morning Barbados returns, we'll be going across the seas to Abidjan afar.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time to talk to Abidjan afar as Germany. Now, Shakira Daniel, it goes by the literary alias Lollipops to March. She's been living in Germany for over 10 years now, and she's a lover of words who started her writing from secondary school days. Since the coronavirus pandemic, it encouraged her to take her pen up once again. And she did that when she joined an online competition. Good morning to you, Shakira.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, tell me how joining this website helped you to get those creative juices flowing once again, pen and paper.
Well, I could say it first started with me reading a novel and deciding that I wanted to write again. I thought the books was really good, and being homesick as well, and wanting to actually think about writing about Barbados on the books. I mean, sorry, within the books. So I decided that I would join a competition. Maybe I would do well or not.
Okay, but you did have a placing, so you did do well.
Yeah, I came third.
And what did you come third with? What were your writings on?
That time, that book was Dirty Secret.
Okay, and how dirty is that secret?
Actually, the name of the book was it was supposed to be a mystery. First, it started with her dirty secret was that she was not really from that world because it's a transmigration. So she got transmigrated into another body. And it became similar to Barbados with these little islands and jumping and her dialect and stuff. And some of the people that she knew before also transmigrated there. And at first she didn't know, so it became a dirty secret.
I see. Now, your favorite genre is reverse harem. You don't like the typical type of story as opposed to writing about Barbados as idyllic. You've, changed it up. Why do you prefer these dark fantasy types of writing?
Being on a web novel platform, most popular books end up being werewolves. A lot of the books I read, my official platform is Ling Quan, but the name is web novel in English. It's located in Hong Kong, China, and they write good books. Their literacy is really excellent, but the problem is the second, third, fourth, and fifth male leads always getting treated really bad. So like I would start off liking a book, and then I would decide why isn't the male lead, the second male lead, like getting a girl too? Why is it that he got to do everything for her, and in the end he gets nothing? He ends up being alone,
So it's a lot of friend zoning.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unfortunate. So you have decided to change up that with your own writing. Everyone comes out a winner.
Yes.
That's awesome. Now, tell us about Joaquin or Joker. How do you pronounce it?
Her name is Lou Joaquin.
Okay.
It's a werewolf novel. I came seventh in the competition. It's on Libri. The first print was on Libri, and also on Hino novels and stuff. It's a good book, but a hard write because it's very big. She
It's a little difficult to deal with. Okay. Now, this whole issue of building worlds, is it because you miss Barbados so much?
Yeah. Yeah, I really. That book actually, Joica, has a lot of Barbados in it. The New World. Mm-hmm.
So
like
if you came home, if you came home tomorrow, what would be the first thing you would want to do?
Eat.
What? What do you want to eat? What do you miss most about this place?
Putting ourselves.
Okay, I can't fault you. I would eat that too. So I really, really can't fault you. Now, I understand you're currently working on a series. Tell me quickly about it.
Lujorka is the series. The first book is about her her dying, her rebirth, the various worlds, basically the foundation of the book before I get into book two, her finding her purpose in life, her trying to accept that she no longer is a wolf, trying to accept the humans, trying to accept the immortals, and that it's a vast world out there. Um, then afterwards, finally, finding love.
Okay. Do any of these books these writings that you've done, even though they're fictional, do they have any type of autobiographical leanings? Can we see any elements of you, Shakira, in any of the characters?
I never actually thought about it. Probably.
Okay.
Mostly when I write about Barbados, there's one particular book that literally is founded on Barbados. It's called All I Want for Christmas, and it's a new signed by on web novel. This book has a lot of Barbados in it, from school to the buses, the sun, everything, the food as well.
Okay. So that's probably the closest that you get. Okay. Finally, what's next outside of the series? What else is going on with Shakira?
Nothing exactly. I'm writing, taking care of my son, and thinking about coming back home.
Okay. Well, we hope that that can become a reality soon and that he too can get to enjoy Barbados and see what your homeland is like. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning, Shakira Daniel. Now, quickly, where can I get the books? Do I have to go online only or can I order them?
So my book is being edited by Passion Poet editor Robert Gibson, and he will help me post it on Amazon, and later I'm trying to get it a hard copy in Barbados at whichever bookstore accepts me.
Okay, I want to thank you so much, and you keep writing and letting those creative juices cover those pages. Have a wonderful morning from Germany, Shakira.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Shakira Daniel, and as you heard, she's building her own worlds and creating mythical creatures. Fantasy, we all need it at some stage in our lives. When Morning Barbados returns, we'll tell you about the Time Travel Series event.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. We're going to be talking to Mr. Willando Morris this morning. He's a dynamic and sought-after youth minister from Barbados who has been into religion for a number of years, from his secondary school days up to this point. He also likes evangelical and missionary work. Now, Willando believes in groundbreaking teaching and dynamic preaching, creating that atmosphere which will change worship based solely on the Word of God. And he's going to be the organizer of the Time Travel Series. It's an event which will be taking place over the Easter weekend. Good morning, Willando.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up. Randy, I always want to do that. I always want to do that. I'm going to put that on my bucket list now. I always wanted to do that. But
well, you got to this morning.
Randy, yes. It's good. It's very good to be here. I want to thank the Barbados team as well for giving me the opportunity to come on, and I'm really looking forward to sharing what God has laid on my heart.
Okay, now what is this series all about, and why the Easter weekend? Is it in sync with all that happened for the Easter biblical time?
Listen, Wendy, the time travel is exactly what I just said. It is a wake-up call. It is your mom, Wendy. It is your mom realizing that you have overslept, and she rushes into your room because she knows that you're going to miss the bus. So therefore, she shakes you and says, Willando, it's time to get up. If you stay a second longer where you are, you're going to miss the bus. You're going to be late for school. It is a soldier who's on the wall, and he's looking out, and he sees danger coming, and he goes quickly and he sounds an alarm so that those other people who may not know what is coming will know what is coming. The Time Travel Series is a series about the end times and what is coming, but we will use what has happened before. We're looking at what is currently occurring, and then we're going to be looking at different prophecies in the Bible to give us an idea of what is coming, so that we can prepare for it in this season. Listen to me, Randy. Prime ministers, kings, queens, everyone wants to know what's next. What is going to happen next in this world? And I'm telling you, the Time Travel Series, I will take you there. I will use biblical scriptures. I want to explain to you, I'm going to expound to you what is next.
And where can we find out what's next? What's the platform that's being used?
So we're going to be streaming on the I Declare Motivation YouTube channel. So this is a channel that I started recently. I'm a part of many other organizations, but I wanted to be able to speak on certain topics freely. And as a result, I started this to kind of, in the pandemic, when people were dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of worry, and I started to present a lot of issues. I'm telling people, and just quoting scriptures and telling them not to fear, not to worry, that for God knows the plans that He has for you. And I started to speak things into people's lives, and people started to respond, and that's how it started. And then one video turned into 2 videos, to 3 videos, and now we're here where I'm using the gift that I have, because I am a teacher. That's my gift. I teach. I make hard topics easy. I make boring topics fun. I teach secondary school, chemistry, physics, biology, geography. So I'm taking out what I've learned from this Bible school and the Bible school that I went to. I'm taking this knowledge and I want to break it down so that a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old can understand and be a part of literally a class session, because that's what it really will be. When we are streaming on the I Declare, I will be using a platform called Nearpod. I will send a code out, or my team will send a code out, and those who are watching will be able to join that class soon, and they will participate in the activities. We will have quizzes, games, we will have questions, polls, and we will really discuss live discussion, live activities on what is next. We will be looking at certain scripture verses. We'll be looking at certain events that's happening in the world. We will be taking it all in, bit by bit. Each night we will have a different objective, and as we go, I will lead them gradually along this time travel series. It really is going to be a journey that no one needs to miss.
And what days will we be journeying on so I know when to pack for?
It will be April the 15th. We start on Good Friday. 16th, which will be then a Good Saturday. And then we finish on Easter Sunday, which is going to definitely be a good Sunday. It's going to be at 6 p.m. And we're going to have those days we'll choose, because you asked that before. When I show you a little bit of the past, the events that are happening now have all been prophesied. So I want to bring in the relevance. When I show you what the Bible has said, and that we are celebrating up to this day in 2022, Easter, we're celebrating crucifixion, we're celebrating his resurrection, his ascension. Later on, we're going to be celebrating Pentecost. All of these have been prophesied, and today they are realities. And I want us to be aware of the other things that have been prophesied as well. And therefore, we need to be ready.
Okay, and we will be ready too, and we'll tune into your channel, I Declare Motivation, on YouTube as well as Facebook. So we will go and look out for you, Willando, with your time travel series. Here's wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You as well. That was Willando Morris, the time traveling, and he'll be telling you with biblical evidence where the journey will lead. When we come back, it is going to be time to meet our Beige to the World winner. Let's talk to that young man and find out just how it was on stage that night in Golden Square.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The winner of Beige to the World Season 2. People, give it up for Tariq O'Neal Griffith! Winner of $20,000. Winner of an opportunity to travel with Bunchy Garland and Fair and Lyons. The winner of Beige to the World Season 2. Give it up for Tariq O'Neal Griffith.
You did it.
That was the winner of the Season 2 Beige to the World, Tariq O'Neal Griffith. Good morning to you, Tariq.
Hey, morning.
Now, you cried there on stage at that win. I hope those tears have now dried and it has sunk in. How are you feeling this morning?
Honestly, I feel so amazing because I put so much work into this competition. I mean, it has been, don't get me wrong, it has been a tough time. I had a lot of rehearsals and stuff leading up to the competition, but everything worked out for me.
Now, in terms of the night's performances, both of them, were they all that you wanted, or when you think about it and you look back on YouTube, were you saying maybe there's something else I could have done to strengthen my performance? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts today?
Well, honestly, for my first performance, when I watched over the video, I couldn't believe it because the production was amazing, like really amazing. It looked like something from I have seen in a movie or something like that. For my second performance, though, I saw a few things that I could have, tweaked a little bit, but you can always improve. You can always improve. Nothing is never good enough.
Now, what is good though is that today you're holding a check for $20,000 in your hand and a chance to tour with Bunji Garlin and Fay-Ann Lyons. Has that sunk in yet?
Yes, well, kinda. I actually had the chance to go with them yesterday. They took me out on a few rides and stuff, and we went for dinner, and it feels amazing.
What were some of the things that you quizzed them about? What was the conversation like?
Well, just a few questions about it's gonna be, I told them, well, I'm not really a soca singer, but I'm now getting into it, and they said that they would help me and get me through the process.
Okay, that's awesome. Now we're watching you here on stage with your ballad. Tell me, walk me through this one.
Okay, so for me, I felt this song the most because I'm a ballad singer, as everyone knows, and I love songs. The young lady, which is the violinist, her name is Shanti. She is an amazing person. We only got to practice that song probably one day, and I explained to her that for the performance, I wanted it to look like she is the person that I'm singing about. And she brought the emotions and everything, so I have to thank her for sure.
Awesome. Now, that's competition time. You're already ready for work this morning, so you're getting back into action and normal life. But outside of that and the performance with Bunji and Fay-Ann, what's next for you in terms of entertainment and your singing?
Well, now that I have won $20,000, I'm going to invest it. I actually want to build a little studio in my house. My phone has been blowing up in the past few hours. So I'm looking to go and record a few songs, especially sweet soca songs. I'm hoping to get into probably a few tents this year, and push my career from here.
Okay, so outside of the career, what else is there going on for Tariq? I actually see two parishes claiming you, St. Lucie and St. John. Which one are you really from?
Well, the thing is, I live in St. Joseph, but the border is in the middle. But I live in a place called Clearbury, St. John, right? But because the border is in the middle, people from St. Joseph say I'm from St. Joseph, and people from St. John say I'm from St. John.
Okay, I see. And you have some, and I guess because your family name is noted St. Lucie, that's why they're claiming you as well. Okay,
yes,
now we know where you're really from. But you said your phone's been blowing up. How has that made you feel? Has that part sunk in? Because before, Tariq was just this very shy, quiet teller at COB. Today now, he is the Beige to the World Season 2 winner.
Like I said, it is an amazing feeling. Honestly, right now I'm so tired because I haven't had rest since Saturday morning. Right now, like as you can see, I'm at work, and then tonight I have to go again. So it is really something that I have to get used to. I mean, for the past few years, I have been doing a lot of stuff too, but this is something that I really have to get used to. And I know that I'll get it done for sure.
Okay, now we know COB is a big family. How did they receive you when you came through those doors this morning?
Oh my goodness, I can't even thank COB enough. Firstly, they sponsored me for my semi-finals and my finals. They actually paved the way for me because without them, I don't know what I would have done and how I would have gotten the money. The COB family came out and they supported me. I mean, like when I was finished performing, I could not believe that everybody actually came out. It was amazing to see that they supported me. And so this morning, everybody that passes me is congratulations, congratulations, and it's like, yeah, it feels really good.
So you would rather not be in front of that counter this morning just to get a little away from it?
Yes, I know how it's gonna be today. Up to this morning, I was walking through town and everybody's looking at me. Congratulations, congratulations, and it feels so good. And like I was saying before, even at the performances, at first I didn't have anybody coming with me, but it felt so good to see that the audience was supporting me. Even though I didn't know them, they were supporting me like they were my family.
That is awesome to know, Tariq. You have gained a new family. I want to congratulate you myself from us here at Morning Barbados for that win and that lovely voice that you have. Ensure that you take care of it, huh? Do all the right and necessary things to keep it well tuned. It won't take care of itself. You have to do the job. Tariq, you're what now? 22, 23? Okay.
22.
So before we go, we'll take a piece of your performance on the night. So again, congratulations and thanks for joining us on Morning Barbados.
Thank you very much.
But I feel like a storm is coming if I'm gonna make it through the day. And there's no more use in running. This is something I gotta face. If I risk it all, could you break my fall? How do I live? How do I breathe? When you're not here, I'm suffocating. I wanna feel love run to my blood. Tell me, is this where I give it all up? For you, I have to risk it all. 'Cause the writing's on the wall. A million shots of glass that haunt me from my past. As the stars begin to gather and the light begins to fade, when all hope begins to shatter, know that I won't be afraid. If I risk it all, could you break my fall? How do I live? How do I breathe? When you're not here, I'm suffocating. I wanna feel love run to my blood. Tell me, is this where I give it all up? For you, I have to risk it all. 'Cause the writing's on the wall. The writing's on the
Tariq O'Neill Griffith, the only writing on the wall for him today is a winner of Season 2 Beige to the World. And we have to thank the Ministry of Youth and Community Development for that initiative and all the other sponsors that came on board, including the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, to make the show what it was on Saturday night. Well, it's a wrap here for me at Morning Barbados. Here's wishing you a marvelous Monday. Have a great day.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.